Akash Inti, your favorite reflection of you. Today has been incredible already, and it's only not even 9 o'clock. I love that. I spent the early morning, the early part of the morning, studying a mixture of Arash Dibazar through some of his lectures, some of his recordings, and Jordan Belfort's straight line certification program. Absolutely incredible. Um, with Jordan Belfort, learning some of the ideas around vision, and that's what I'll be spending my day on today, putting a vision board together. With regards to the rest of the morning, drove over to yoga class called the 5:45 a.m. class, and oh my goodness, absolutely incredible. So one of my strongest asana practices, it was an Ashtanga practice. So for those of you guys who don't know, Ashtanga is the 8 limbs, refers to the 8 limbs of yoga, and it's kind of the primary series. It's the basic kind of different yoga postures. Obviously, as you guys all definitely know, yoga is much more about breathing than it necessarily is about the shapes. So that's what it comes down to, really. So long as you're able to get your breathing down in each of the shapes, that's key, that's ideal. But then from there, one starts working more into the shapes themselves. I was working on my balancing postures, which is something that's historically been a challenge to me, and today was, wow, I think probably the best series of balancing postures that I've had to date, so absolutely incredible. Um, on the way back, I was listening to some of Deida's The Way of the Superior Man. So this is a book that I've continued to come back to again and again and again and again and again. Really, it's a book on masculinity and how to rise more into the divine masculine in today's day and age. Talks a little bit about how masculinity has changed over time, specifically in kind of in America. It's more of an American perspective on masculinity. And one of the big things that interrelated with what I was studying with Jordan Belfort, which I thought was really cool, was this idea of purpose. And Deida talks about 3 different purposes. So there's the first level purpose to a man, and this is kind of like it's kind of the way I interpret it and understand it is like, what's the ego purpose? What am I doing here? What am I? What is my purpose in this current moment? Right. So it could be dependent upon your job. It could be dependent upon your family, etc. But it's really what is one defined as their own purpose? Cool. There's the second level, which is how does your purpose interrelate with the community? In other words, or others around you. Now, this could be roommates. This could be your community, like where you live. This could be just your roommates, even. So, how does your purpose interrelate with others, and what does that kind of create in a larger, bigger picture? Then the third one is, which I think is the most interesting of them all, and it was something that had been to be candid, been giving me trouble, is divine purpose. What is within me that needs to be fully expressed before I die in this lifetime? And this is something that David Deida talks about, how it's so important for men specifically to have a good understanding of what is that sense of a man that's he needs to express. What's that divinity that needs to be expressed through him as the vehicle? And I'm sure this probably applies to women as well. I'm specifically speaking to the men. He says that the way to go about this, and really to hone down onto what is that purpose itself, is through sitting down. It's solitude. It's being with the self and allowing the intuition to speak. He recommends a meditation practice of half an hour every day, sitting down and just being. And it's through this being and sitting down, not moving, not interacting or engaging with others. There's a very masculine quality to this, that strength, that rootedness, that's just going down deep within, that connects you to it and just stops all of the chaos of life, the feminine energies of life, but rather just keeps you within, and from here, this is where the divine masculine speaks to you. Now, it doesn't necessarily need to be a meditation as in just sitting down for half an hour. He talks about you could do a yoga practice. You can do anything really where you're just sitting down, you're with the breathing, etc. So today, really working on the vision and pulling it together. I spent most of the weekend kind of sitting with myself in some way, shape, or form. And so much meditation this weekend, but so eye-opening. I was watching a video on Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, who's one of my gurus, I would say. And it's cool because it was talking about transcendental meditation and the technique itself, but and he was explaining the technique and how it applied. But not only that, I was seeing kind of a different. I mean, it was kind of like a blast from the past. It was like his 50s and 60s where he was really teaching and applying teaching this technique to the West. So it's cool to get that perspective and see it from that timeline and see how the teachings of that time period are more relevant today than ever. So these are a couple things that are going on with me. This is what I've been up to. Super successful and rich morning. Such a rich morning more than anything else. Rich in all the ways that I like it to be. I have my little beverage right now. I don't know if I talked about this or not, but got my greens, my honey, my protein shake in there, a banana, my brain juice, what I like to call, a little bit of apple cider vinegar, amongst other things. So this is up with me, taken today by storm and studying as much as possible, enjoying every single moment, because I don't know if tonight holds anything for me. I don't know if I'll be alive in the next 15 minutes, but that's just life. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen, and that's why we got to live our richest life right now. Keep up, thrive, and stay sexy.